ICE ramps up operations here in Chicago, and President Trump weighs the next target of his self-described crime crackdown. There are new developments in Washington, D.C. It's because the president's 30-day takeover of the police department there expires at midnight, and Congress has not yet moved to extend it. But right now, a House committee is discussing several Republican bills that, if passed, would give the federal government greater control in D.C.'s day-to-day affairs. Now, crime in our nation's capital was already falling before the president declared a crime emergency on August 11th. It was down more than 25% year to year before the influx of federal agents on the streets and the National Guard troops on the National Mall. There have been 7 homicides in the past month. There were 10 in the 30 days prior. So the number of homicides for the year are on track for a low not seen in decades. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live on Capitol Hill following that. But we begin with Kellie Meyer at the White House. And Kellie, the administration says the president's crackdown is working. And do we know his next target?
Yeah, he really seems to be using Washington, D.C. as his example here. And we'll get to more on his D.C. dinner last night in a moment. But he is floating the possibility, as he has been, of going to other cities in America. We've been hearing him talk about potentially sending the National Guard to Chicago, but as he's been telling us when we've been in the Oval Office with him, he has been saying he wants the governor there to call him and ask. So he's kind of gone back and forth on this, Nichole, both saying that he's going to do it, but not saying when, but then also saying he wanted the governors of these states to call him first. So he did say last night that he is set to make an announcement on where he's going next. He said that it's going to be a state where the governor does want him to come in. Take a listen to this.
We're going to be announcing another city that we're going to very shortly. We're working it out. The governor of a certain state would love us to be there, and the mayor of a certain city in that same state would love us to be there. We'll announce it probably tomorrow. And it's going to be something where we'll do like we did here.
All right, so this is where President Trump went for dinner last night. He was floating the possibility of going out to eat in Washington, D.C. It's there at Joe's Seafood. We were in the White House pool with NewsNation, got to go along with the motorcade for that quick ride around the corner. You see him there inside the restaurant. There were some pro-Palestinian demonstrators inside the restaurant that were kicked out. We saw them on the other side as we were waiting for President Trump outside. He wanted to do this to show that it's safe to go out to eat. He joined with members of his cabinet. You see Marco Rubio there, the Secretary of State, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, as well as his Vice President J.D. Vance. He was there for about 2 hours, Nichole. We were there outside waiting with the pool. We tried to ask him a question afterwards, but he didn't take questions. He just waved to the crowds that were actually waiting for him outside. There was a big crowd outside of that restaurant, and then he headed back here to the White House around 9:30, 10 o'clock last night, Nichole.
All right, so Kellie, we know what Republicans are saying about this crackdown. What are we hearing from the other side of the aisle?
Yeah, this really is becoming political, and we're seeing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle talking about this crime, a big topic in last year's election, as we know, and it looks like it's going to stay that way coming into the midterms. We've been hearing from Democrats, though, on Capitol Hill, especially in House leadership, Democrats talking about how they feel as though it's not President Trump doesn't have the right to be talking about this after they say he released January 6th suspects as well back into the street. So here's what they had to say about that.
It's hard to believe House Republicans and Donald Trump on this issue when the first thing he did was pardon 1,500 violent offenders on day one of his administration. And a handful, more than a handful, have already reoffended and committed crimes back home. So it's hard to say, it's hard for us to believe that he actually cares about this issue.
And we've seen President Trump taking steps around potentially sending the National Guard to cities like Chicago, for example, and he is increasing, as we've seen, the immigration effort there because he is able to send in more ICE agents and immigration forces there. But we don't know if he's going to take the step of sending the National Guard there, but we will be waiting to see what city he is going to next, Nichole.
Yeah, we are all waiting to see. Kellie Meyer live for us there at the White House. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.